On December 31st, 2020, Adobe officially killed off Flash, an integral part of early internet gaming and the dawn of indie game development as we currently know it. Rest in spaghetti, never forgetty. F's in chat. F's in chat. Flash games provided an excellent thoroughfare into gaming for anyone at any point in time, regardless of their socioeconomic status, whether they had a gaming console or could afford any games for it, or if they were interested in game development themselves and wanted to get their feet wet. And Flash games hold a very special place in my heart because right outside of high school, I created and ran a Flash game website called Bucket Hat Gaming, and I ran it for about a year until the host I was using got shut down by the government for not paying their taxes or something like that, and then the domain expired. But I made a whole $3 in advertising money in that 1 year, even though it took me about 3 weeks to make the website, and I spent over $100 in hosting fees and all that.
I work hard for the money, so hard for the money. Oh, I something money, come on, give me lots of money.
Well, there's an employee, Smithers.
But believe it or not, there's actually a lot of different methods to play Flash games right now for free and in a secure and safe manner, and also in a way that promotes video game preservation and makes sure that these fantastic classic titles that we've all grown up and loved don't disappear forever. So if you want to play some classic Flash games like Bubble Trouble, Spank the Monkey, Helicopter Game, and so many more, well, you've come to the right place because I have 5-ish different methods for you to play these on. So yeah. So method number 1, download Flash Player, the program, not the browser extension. Yeah, so this is a little surprising for a lot of people to hear, but Flash Player has actually always come in 2 different flavors. There's the browser extension, which is what most people are familiar with, and there's a standalone executable that's often installed alongside of it, but is buried within install files, and very few people actually know about it. In fact, for a long time, Adobe has had a standalone version of this that doesn't require you to install the browser plugin, and they've called it Flash Player Projector Content Debugger, because that rolls right off the tongue. And it's something that you can download to this very day through Adobe's websites, even though it's a little hard to find by Googling it, so I put a link in the description if you just want to check it out for yourself. Like I said, for Windows, it is a standalone executable, meaning that it does not install anything on your computer whatsoever, so if security is something you're concerned about, which you should be, don't worry about it, because it's just something you can delete and you know, empty your recycle bin and it'll be just fine. I'm not sure exactly how it works on Mac, because I haven't used a Mac in like 15 years, but on Linux, it does in fact install something, but seeing as Linux is far more secure than Windows and Mac anyway, and it's easy to remove through the terminal, I wouldn't worry about it. I've run dozens of Flash games in this program over the years without any issues, and in fact, in a lot of cases, the games work much better in this program than they ever did on the old websites that I was visiting. So again, is it secure? Yes, mostly. Just make sure you download it through Adobe using the link I put in the description below and not some random ass website, because that's the biggest problem with Flash, is that you can install shit too easily with it, and that's how hackers get you in the first place, so just be careful and you'll be fine. But of course, in order to properly use this program, you're gonna need some Flash games to play on it, and depending on where you go to get them, that could lead to some security vulnerabilities, which is why I'm gonna give you a safe spot to go to get some Flash games with Method 2, the Internet Archive. Like emulators and ROMs, Flash games exist in this sort of legal gray area where the line between copyright infringement and not copyright infringement is pretty blurred and pretty wide and super gray. However, unlike emulators and ROMs, the culture surrounding Flash games is a lot more internet-free, open source sort of thing, and everybody that makes Flash games just wants people to play their games overall, since there's not really a good way to monetize them anymore anyway. And by far the best place that I know of to safely download SWF files and also play some without even downloading anything whatsoever is the Internet Archive. Currently, there's over 3,000 different Flash games that you can play on the website right now with a fully updated browser and without Flash, no problem. And there's even more that you can download and use with the Flash Player Content Debugger projector thingy or whatever the fuck it's called that I mentioned just a moment ago. By far and away, the Internet Archive is a great effort for video game preservation or just internet culture preservation, and it's something you should definitely check out, as it's one of the safest places to go and download these games for your own personal use. But as far as video game preservation efforts go, it is a far cry from our next topic. So, method number 3 3, Blue Maxima's Flashpoint. Flashpoint is a non-profit, volunteer-run video game preservation effort that's been in development since 2018, and currently they have over 70,000 Flash games and over 8,000 Flash animations as part of the program, with more being added every single day. Holy shit, that's impressive. Not only that, it's also a community effort, so if there isn't a Flash game or Flash animation that you know and love as part of the program, there's a request form on their website for them to add it in. Pretty awesome. Flashpoint comes in 2 different flavors. There's the Ultimate version, which has literally everything that they've collected in one massive 500 gigabyte file for you to download and use entirely offline for your own personal use. And then there's the Infinity version, which is a much more reasonable 500 megabyte file that has all of the classics that everybody knows and loves. And then if there's a Flash game that isn't downloaded, you can download it right through the program, kind of like Steam, and add it to your library, or you can even add your own Flash games manually if you find them somewhere else on the internet. Again, Flashpoint's kind of like Steam. It's mostly just a front end that launches games in a curated manner, and really all that happens when you click on a game in this program is it just opens up that Flash Player Projector content debugger thingy that I talked about in method number 1. So it's a much more curated way to use method number 1 than downloading the files yourself and having to keep them in a folder or something like that. Now, in regards to copyright and the moral implications of this, Blue Maxima is doing something else that I think is pretty cool, which is a do first, ask to be removed later sort of thing. They're adding in stuff as they see fit, and if the original developer of the Flash game has a problem with it, by request, they will remove it from the program. However, like I said, the culture surrounding Flash games is a lot different than the ROM and emulator scene, where most of these developers just want their games to be played and seen, since again, there's not really a good way to monetize them anymore anyway. There have been a few developers like Nitrome that have requested to have their games removed, and Flashpoint immediately removed them as they promised they would. However, Nitrome actually put their games on the Internet Archive for you to download and use, so if you really want to play their games in Flashpoint, just go to the Internet Archive, download their games, and add them into Flashpoint manually yourself. Not a big deal, really. The biggest downside of Flashpoint is that it's currently Windows only, but Mac and Linux versions are currently being developed, so it shouldn't be too much longer before this program comes to those platforms as well. And as a Linux user myself, that makes me a very happy little Noa Lee. However, I was able to get it running through my VirtualBox Windows 7 machine without any issues, so virtualization is something you can do in the interim until the official versions come to Mac and Linux. Flashpoint is by far and away the best and easiest method from a user standpoint to play these classic Flash games, and it's amazing to see such a strong community effort surrounding the topic of video game preservation. But Noah, I don't want to download anything. I just want to go to Addicting Games or Miniclip or HornyGamer.com and play Flash games like I used to could. What do I do then? Well, that's where method number 4 comes in. Use Ruffle. Ruffle is a Flash player emulator written in the security-minded programming language Rust that utilizes modern browsers' sandboxing features and allow you to play Flash games on Flash game websites on a modern, updated browser without any of the security holes present in Flash. This is an off-the-cuff video, but I wrote that one line just because there was a lot to relay there, okay? Much like Adobe Flash Player itself, Ruffle comes in 2 different flavors. There's a browser extension version of it and a standalone file that you can use with any Flash file that you found wherever on the internet. Unfortunately, I was unable to get the program itself to work on either of my Linux machines or on my Windows 7 virtual machine. So yeah, and also I kind of think that there's better ways to, play these games offline, like Flashpoint or using the actual content debugger Flash Player thingy. But what Ruffle has going for it is that once installed in your modern super secure updated browser, you can just go to these old Flash game websites and play Flash games just like you used to be able to. I installed Ruffle into a version of Chromium I have, no problem. The directions are super clear on their website, link in the description for all of these, by the way. I don't know if I mentioned that. And I just went to some classic Flash game websites like Miniclip and, played some Bloxors and stuff like that, and played the helicopter game. I went to Albino Black Sheep and played 55, which is one of my favorite classic Flash animations out there, and it all worked very well, except Albino Black Sheep did seem a little buggy for me. It played just fine, but everything I played on there had like a picture-in-picture sort of thing going on, so again, results may vary. And if you're wondering how the Internet Archive is able to make these Flash games play play on their website without Flash, look no further, because the Internet Archive is using Ruffle. It's something that website developers can actually install on a website level, so people that don't even have the Ruffle browser extension installed can still have the Flash experience on their website. I also believe that Newgrounds is in the process of installing Ruffle on their website for their old Flash games, but don't quote me on that. I haven't really looked into it too much. But Noah, I don't want to install anything. I don't want to install a Flash player. I don't want to download anything. I don't want to put no browser extension Ruffle thing, and I don't like the Internet Archive for whatever reason. What do I do? Well, that brings me to method number 5, which is don't play Flash games. Play HTML5 games or something else instead. Yeah, so this obviously isn't really a method to play Flash games, but more of a way to elucidate some of the misconceptions on what a Flash game actually is, because after it was announced that Adobe would be killing off Flash in December 31st of 2020, a lot of the media made it seem like browser gaming itself was dying. And that's just not true. Not all browser games are made in Flash. In fact, for a very long time, pretty much none of the browser games out there have been made in Flash. There are plenty of HTML5 Flash websites that... In fact, there are still hundreds of thousands of websites you can go to play browser-based games that have nothing to do with Flash. And in fact, a lot of the times, the classic Flash games that everybody knows and love have been ported over into other systems that work with modern browsers in a secure fashion and are uploaded to these various websites. So if there's a certain game you remember playing on Flash websites back in the day, maybe see if it's been ported to something else, or if it's on the Internet Archive, or whatever. The only reason you'd need to go the route of like the content debugger thing, or Flashpoint, or Ruffles, is if you want to play some classic Flash games that aren't available in any other format. If you don't care about playing the classics and you just want to play games in your browser, there are plenty of ways to do that. And again, that might seem like a no-brainer, but I'm including it because there are a lot of people who are convinced by the media that browser gaming itself was disappearing. And that's just not true. So there you go, 4 methods to play classic Flash games and 1 practical solution if you don't want to play classic Flash games and you just want to play some browser games. Like I said, it's great to see such a strong community effort surrounding the topic of video game preservation and keeping the feel and life of these classic Flash games and this very important part of video game history alive and well and available in an easy-to-use fashion for future generations. Flash games are something that hold a very special place in my heart, and they're something that I've loved dearly over the years, especially in my younger days as a gamer and especially in school, as a lot of other people have, which is again why it's so great to see so many people come together to love and care for such a strong aspect of video game history that we might have forgotten otherwise. So if you haven't played these games in a while or never played them before, give them a shot using the links to everything I talked about in the description box below. Down in the comments below, I left a list of some of the Flash games that I personally enjoyed the most over the years, and I hope you'll do the same, and make sure you subscribe if you're new around these parts. I'm Noa Lee, and thanks for watching.